My name is Kragh. I'm from Lego Education, I'm president of Lego Education.
Thank you very much for accepting to have an interview with us for the Learn the Voice program for the World Innovation Summit for Education. So could you please start by telling us more about Lego Education and what it's about in general?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. The thing about Lego Education is that we're trying to take those strong values around learning from the Lego brand that are all about creativity, that are about imagination, and that are about fundamentally giving children a learning experience while they're having fun. And that's something that we have known from the toy world that the kids are very interested in. And we want to take that into a learning environment. That could be in schools, but also actually outside of schools, but allowing children to learn something while they're having fun. And basically making sure that they are engaged while they're learning. And we think that there is a lack of that in education today. Many young people are getting into a school, but they're not really motivated to be there because the learning methodology and the environment in which they're learning is not really catering for that inner curiosity and that, you could say, that aspiration that all children have to be creative. So this is the thing with Lego Education. We try to create materials that can support teachers in actually doing that can create an environment in a classroom where core curriculum all of a sudden comes to life, because it's not something that just has to be read out of a textbook. It's something that they can then start working with, they can experiment with, and they can actually use their hand and all kinds of other senses to get much more, you could say, learning-rich outcome out of it.
Okay, you mentioned Lego and linking it somehow with the children. So we wondered, since we are university students, is it possible to implement this kind of education, such as Lego education, to broader audiences, such as young people, for instance, school students or university students?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Lego Education offers today a range of products that are actually all the way from kindergarten and up to university. So and the thing is that while people might recognize that the toy is primarily catering for the needs of young children, in reality, if you look at it from a learning point of view, the Lego brick and the system of building is just as relevant for university students as it is for younger people. In fact, we do know that already now there are a number of universities who are actually using Lego bricks in the way that they are also experimenting. They're creating prototypes, they are programming robots based on Lego, etc. So there's a lot of things that are going on in a very wide span, you could say, age groups, ranging from the very youngest but all the way up to university.
Okay, and also since the topic of this Learning Without Frontiers conference here in London is the future of learning, we would like to know, how do you see the development of the learning in the future, and what do you think would be and what is the role of students or learners in this process?
Yeah, I think that there are two major trends that I see in the future. One is that the whole learning environment, the ecosystem, including the schools, but also things that are going on outside of the school, they have to focus on the individual much more. And by focusing on the individual, what I mean is that they're going to have to allow learners, students, to express themselves, and to express themselves in a way that they find is relevant. In the past, I think we've seen schools be developed around almost like a model of mass production of, you could say, students and learning experiences, where I think in the future we will have to focus a lot more on the individual, allowing that student to take more responsibility of his or her own learning, and thereby also being able to, you could say, express themselves more creatively, more individual, and thereby, you could say, finding their talent in whatever field that is. That's the one trend. The second trend I see is that learning is much more going to be a function of all the things that are going on in young people's lives. It is not necessarily something that we can then see is happening predominantly in school. I actually think that taking technology today, it's a good example of an area where young people are actually learning more about ICT and new media outside of school than there are inside of school. We have, I think, for the first time, a generation of young people that are coming into a classroom and know more about certain subjects than the teacher do, because they're learning so much about new technology and the way to use media. Sometimes the teacher cannot keep up. So the role of the school becomes different. It becomes a role where the school has to interact with all those other touch points of learning that the young people have in their lives. That, I think, is the other big part that I see will change over the coming years.